Can extreme heat change a football match before tactics even matter? Before we start, make sure to subscribe to Sports Science Insight. Here we break down sports science, performance, recovery, and athlete health into simple, practical, and evidence-based insights. Today, this is not a single paper breakdown. This is a current sports science topic connected to the World Cup heat debate. And the key question is simple: can heat become the invisible opponent on the field? When people watch football, they usually talk about tactics, mistakes, substitutions, pressing, and finishing. But sometimes, the real opponent is environmental stress. Extreme heat can affect heart rate, hydration, sprint capacity, decision-making, and recovery during the match. So when a team looks slower, heavier, or less aggressive, the answer may not be laziness. It may be physiology. The invisible opponent may be heat. Let's break it down. Big tournaments expose athletes to big environmental stress. In a World Cup, teams travel, play under pressure, face different climates, and often have limited time to recover. When heat becomes part of the tournament environment, performance planning becomes more complicated. It is not just about the temperature you see on a weather app. Athletes also deal with humidity, solar radiation, stadium conditions, travel fatigue, and repeated matches. That is why heat index and WBGT matter. They help describe how stressful the environment feels to the body. For fans, heat may look like discomfort. For players, it can change the match. It can change how much they run, how often they sprint, how quickly they recover, and how safely they can sustain effort. So the World Cup heat debate is not just a weather story. It is a performance story. What happens inside the body when athletes play in extreme heat? First, heart rate rises. The cardiovascular system has to support exercise and also help move heat toward the skin. Second, sweat loss increases. Sweating is essential for cooling, but it also means fluid and electrolyte losses. Third, core temperature climbs. If the body cannot release heat fast enough, thermal strain increases. This creates a physiological conflict. The athlete needs blood flow to working muscles, but the body also needs blood flow to the skin for cooling. So before performance drops visibly, the body is already fighting to stay cool. This is why heat can be dangerous. It can reduce performance gradually, and if conditions become severe, it can also become a safety issue. Heat stress is not just about feeling hot. It is about the body trying to protect itself while still performing. Football is often decided by high-intensity actions. A sprint behind the defensive line, a recovery run after losing the ball, a pressing action in the final third, a quick acceleration before a shot, a defensive duel late in the match. These actions are expensive. They require energy, muscle power, cardiovascular support, and fast recovery. In extreme heat, the body may reduce how often those actions can be repeated. That means players may pace themselves more. They may press less aggressively. They may avoid unnecessary sprints. They may take longer to recover between intense actions. And decision-making can also be affected when fatigue and heat strain accumulate. This is why the game can look slower. Heat can reduce the actions that decide the match. Not because players do not want to work, but because physiology sets limits. Hydration is not just drinking water. In hot conditions, hydration becomes strategy. Players lose fluid through sweat, but they also lose electrolytes, especially sodium. If fluid loss becomes too high, blood volume can be affected, heart rate can rise, and perceived effort can increase. That can make the same running demand feel harder. But just telling athletes to drink more is too simple. The plan should consider sweat rate, body mass change, fluid availability, electrolytes, carbohydrates, timing, and gastrointestinal tolerance. Carbohydrates also matter because football is intermittent and high intensity. Players need fuel for repeated efforts. So the best heat strategy is not just water. It is planned hydration, fluids, electrolytes, carbohydrates, and a clear replacement strategy. Drinking water is only one part of heat preparation. At some point, heat management becomes athlete protection. This is where WBGT becomes important. WBGT stands for wet bulb globe temperature. It considers temperature, humidity, solar radiation, and wind. That makes it more useful than air temperature alone when assessing heat stress. When conditions are risky, cooling breaks can help. Cold towels, ice, shade, fans, cold fluids, and cooling strategies can reduce heat strain. But the key message is cultural. Heat management is not weakness. It is not a lack of toughness. It is not giving players an excuse. It is athlete protection. In elite sport, performance and safety are connected. A player who is overheating is not just less effective. He may be at risk. So when officials, medical staff, and coaches discuss cooling breaks, they are not interrupting the game for comfort. They are managing physiological risk. Heat does not only change the body, it can also change tactics. A team that normally presses high may need to press less often. A team that wants to play at high tempo may need smarter pacing. A coach may use substitutions earlier. Players may need more recovery windows. The team may defend in a lower block to save energy, or control possession to reduce repeated transition running. This is where sports science meets strategy. If the environment is extreme, the best tactic may not be constant intensity. The best tactic may be controlling when to spend energy, when to recover, when to press, and when to slow the game down. Sometimes the best tactic is surviving the environment. That does not mean playing scared. It means respecting the physiology of the match. The smartest team may not be the team that runs the most early. It may be the team that still has high-intensity actions available late. Heat performance starts before the game begins. You cannot solve extreme heat only during the match. Preparation matters. First, acclimation. Athletes who gradually train in hot conditions can improve heat tolerance. Second, cooling. Pre-cooling and halftime cooling strategies may help reduce thermal strain. Third, hydration planning. Teams should estimate sweat losses and build individualized fluid and electrolyte plans. Fourth, load monitoring. Coaches need to understand how training load, travel, sleep, and recovery interact with heat stress. If a player already arrives fatigued, dehydrated, or under-recovered, heat can make everything worse. So the preparation must be integrated. Medical staff, coaches, nutrition staff, performance staff, and the player. Heat performance starts before the game begins. The match is only the visible part of the strategy. So what should fans, coaches, and athletes take from this? First, heat can change football performance. Second, the effect is not only physical comfort. It can affect heart rate, hydration, sprint repeatability, fatigue, decision-making, and tactical behavior. Third, hydration is not just water. It is fluid, electrolytes, carbohydrates, timing, and individual sweat response. Fourth, cooling breaks are not weakness. They are athlete protection. Fifth, tactics may need to adapt to the environment. The team that manages heat better may perform better. And that is the main point. Heat is not just weather. Heat is performance science. If this video helped you, leave a like, subscribe to Sports Science Insight, and stay tuned for more evidence-based content on football, recovery, performance, and athlete health. And tell me in the comments, when a team slows down in extreme heat, do you think fans understand the physiology behind it? See you in the next breakdown.